最近おじいちゃんいるから違うけど久しぶりにバイブスあげてこう嬉しそうできるスイカ
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Castaway Anime. I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Crunchy Bagels.
And we're finally putting Shinkai Month officially to rest. With the whole point of Shinkai Month was to build up to this exact moment. Suzume is now out in theaters at the time of this recording, and by the time this episode comes out, it's the newest film by Makoto Shinkai, and we're here to talk about it. Was it Kino? Was it mid? Was it bad? Let's find out.
Was it Shinkino or was it Makoto Shinkai? That is the real question. I saw this movie on opening night, which is the first time I've done that for literally any movie ever, even with my family. And so on that front, it was a really fun and new experience for me, especially since it's been literal years since I've been inside a movie theater.
How packed was it?
Honestly, there were barely any people.
Yeah.
And the reason why
same.
is because I went to the less popular theater, because they were the ones that had the most convenient showing for the subbed version. That's right, I presume we kept the dub-sub split the
Yup.
entire time through. I watched the subbed
Wait, did you
version.
not see the movie alone?
No, I saw it alone, but there were a few other people in the theater, like maybe 3 groups of people.
You said you saw it with your family, so I was wondering if you saw it with your family.
No, I
I
didn't see it with my family.
was gonna say,
in
did
the
you
past
drag
I
your
have.
family into
but-
the subbed anime movie?
Well, see, my grandma wanted to see it, but I was like, I kind of want to be alone.
I kind of need to make mental notes of this for the podcast. Sorry, Nana.
So, yeah, I would have seen it with a friend if she weren't on vacation right now, literally across the country.
Well, maybe she was the
whoops.
lucky one. So I ended up seeing this with friends. I was going to go see it yesterday. Then I found out work was like, "Hey, can you work like this extra hour?" And it's like, "Oh fuck!" I had a thing that I was gonna do, but I guess fine. But then I ended up leaving an hour earlier anyway. So I was like, "Fuck!" I could have gone to see the movie, but then I made plans with my friends, and I can't bail on them when I made the plans. So we would have had this episode recorded earlier, but oh well.
We could have been ever so slightly more relevant.
I mean, it would have come out at the same time. It just means I'll have to cram harder to edit it all tonight and then get it up tomorrow morning when this comes out.
I was about to say, if we don't get 1 million views, it's your fault, Neon. How dare you be a good friend?
We'd be lucky to break 10,000 views with this episode.
Remember, guys, share it with everyone you know and love and care about, and even those you don't care about, because we're desperate.
Yeah, please. Oh God, subscribe. Let us know in the comments if you like the podcast. What else we should cover? What did you think of the movie? All that good stuff.
If you hate us, send this to your worst enemy.
忘れられるわけない絶対に助けに行く
あいつは自分の扱いが雑なんだよ
あんたはなんか大事なことをしちょるような気がする
お返し申す
お返ししますいってらっしゃいいってらっしゃい
いってらっしゃい
いってらっしゃい行ってきます
All right, so now let's get things started off with by answering the big question. At the end of it all, this is Shinkai's 7th theatrical film, or at the very least 7th feature-length film. Where does it stand among the Shinkai filmography?
Oh, okay, so we're going right for the throat.
We're going
here.
right up his
Just
fucking
get in.
butthole.
All right. I feel like this is so. For those of you not in the know, we literally agree completely on the order of the Shinkai films. Maybe not on the specific numbers, but on the order so far, me and Neon have agreed completely. And I think there is a 99% chance that the order I'm about to say is something that Neon will heavily disagree with. It's his second best.
Wrong.
So I know you have Garden of Words ahead of it. Like, I knew that going in. Not for sure, but I just know it deep down in my brain. Where would you place it, though?
Let's see. Crunchy, you're gonna have to help me, brush up on my Nihongo. I'm a little rusty. What's the Japanese word for mid?
Um, Mido.
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 Yeah, this movie was okay.
I think it was pretty damn great. And admittedly,
damn
part of that...
great.
Yeah, I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10.
Hey,
That being
I'm
said...
sitting at like a very, very strong 6.
Okay, that is more of a disagreement than I expected. I will say, it is not even close to Weathering with You. Like, literally,
No, dude,
get out of
it
here
does
if you
not
think
touch
this is
it.
better than Weathering with You. Like,
Well,
get out of here.
See, it's interesting to hear you so adamantly claim that because you gave Weathering with You a 9, right?
Yeah, a
Yes,
strong
this
9,
is
but
this is
a
only
9
a
nonetheless.
this is only a 1-point quality difference for you, whereas for me, this is like 3 steps removed from Weathering with You to me.
Well, see, the numbers are a little bit deceiving in this case, because Weathering with You is like, because Makoto Shinkai movies are so incestuous, right? It's like, it's easy for me to say if you put this above Weathering with You, you're an idiot, because Weathering with You is such a direct, or I guess rather, this is such a direct downgrade from Weathering with You, whereas, Weathering with You is like so clearly better than it in a few very key areas. No, this is nonetheless a good movie, even a great one. I'd give it like a light 8, but if you think it's better than Weathering with You, you are objectively and factually wrong.
I'm gonna take it a step further. If you think this is better than Your Name, you're objectively and factually wrong.
Well, I do think this is better than Your Name, so...
Well, you know what,
come
Crunchy,
fight me.
I don't make the rules, so...
You literally just made them.
Yeah. Well, except for that one time, but which you will follow. Because, if for no other reason than I said so.
Okay, so...
Alright, like, the big thing with this movie, I was like, coming off of Your Name and Weathering with You as Shinkai's like back-to-back, he finally found his footing. Like, with Garden of Words, he was like, okay, I made a really great, beautiful movie with a poignant story. My only problem is, it's only 45 minutes long. Now, how can I regularly tell, feature-length, things you would go sit down in a movie theater to see and be like, dang, that was a good hour and a half something movie. And then he figured it out with Your Name. He cracked the code. It was likable characters, an intriguing plot, and just enough supernatural intrigue to keep the audience thoroughly entertained and dazzled, and a good old rad wimp score to keep it fresh, keep the pacing and energy high. And it feels like with Suzume, he's trying to tone that style, like, he's not throwing it out the window entirely, but it seems like he's toning the dial down a little and channeling that old Shinkai that brought us Place Promise in our early days up to Children Who Chase Lost Voices. In fact, right as I got out of the movie, I was like, now that I think about it, this whole movie is just a passable version of Children Who Chase Lost Voices. Even down to the theming.
I halfway agree with you, but it's just that the main hallmark of Shinkai's old works for me is that they are very atmospheric, toned down, and not very energetic. Even Garden of Words, to me, Garden of Words is the peak old Shinkai in a sense, where it's sort of, although there is some energy to the dialogue, it still has that same sort of the atmosphere and tone. It's basically the ultimate version of that, where it's finally done well, I think, or done exceptionally. Especially in your case, you gave it a 9. And then Your Name was the start of very energetic Shinkai, where you still have some of the atmosphere, but it is very, it's a lot more bombastic and tightly packed. This movie has some really bombastic sequences. Like, the one that immediately comes to mind is when Chair-kun is running down the road as there's a sax soundtrack in the background, and Suzume's chasing after him. It has so much energy. And although I do think that the dialogue in Weathering with You is on the whole a lot better and a lot funnier, more full of life. At the same time, this movie still has that same vibe to me. It's still, I'd say it's definitely more of a continuation of modern Shinkai, even if some of the plot elements, as we get into, do sort of go back to the same themes from Children Who Chase Lost Voices, as well as more, I guess, magical bullshit mechanics than Weathering With You had.
Yeah, because Weathering With You pretty much only had the one bullshit magic thing, whereas this movie has like 2 to 3, like 3. It's got the keystones and the locking. It's got curses, and it's got the doorways into what is essentially the land of the dead, not unlike Children Who Chase Lost Voices and Agartha. In fact, I think there was a Children Who Chase Lost Voices Easter egg in her time capsule at the end of the movie. Spoilers for the movie, by the way. We should probably have prefaced the podcast with there'd be spoilers. So if you
actually, do you want to split it into a non-spoiler section and then a spoiler section, or do you want to just go full ham?
That's a good idea. They'll be able to tell in the time cards, but we'll start with non-spoilers, and it's a fucking Easter egg. I didn't even I barely caught it, so it's easily
I didn't catch it, so you're gonna have to tell me about that.
All right, well, it's ultimately nothing. It's just a thing in her time capsule, but whatever. That's not important. So yeah, spoilers will be later. This will be the non-spoiler section, so we'll continue on from here.
All right. I think that this movie, the best thing about it is, funnily enough, its opening. And really the first, I don't know the exact time because we're, in a movie theater and I wasn't checking my phone for the time at all. But I'd say roughly 40 minutes.
I was surprised at how fast we got into the supernatural magic bullshit. Because between all of Shinkai's movies, it usually takes him about 15 to 20 minutes, usually 15, before he starts introducing the magic, unless you count Your Name, which is it technically starts off with it, but that's just because that's the premise of the movie. It takes 15 minutes before
focusing on their ordinary lives.
Yeah, it takes 15 minutes in that movie for the characters to realize, oh wait, something fishy is afoot. This movie's literally 5 minutes in, she's already going to Magic Doorland, and Kingdom Hearts ensues.
And that's what I actually love about the opening. Not to say that, Weathering With You or Your Name should have started with it sooner, because I think it works in both of those movies. But the way this movie starts immediately builds so much intrigue. So it's essentially building a mystery that is then resolved. And it's not waving the mystery over your head the entire time. At least not for the most part. But it sets up questions, then gives you an answer that it doesn't feel like it's beating you over the head with it. So I guess I can go into this since it's at the beginning of the movie. So our main character Suzume, we get the briefest of glimpses into her life and her relationship with her aunt, and then she goes outside.
On the word brief,
and then I feel like we're gonna actually agree with our criticisms of this movie now that you've said that. But anyway, I'm digressing a little. So we see Suzume walking down the street, and she meets this guy, and he asks, where the ruins at, bro? And she's like, I think you're talking about the abandoned town. Yeah, it's over there. Just go a little that way, a little there. GPS will get you there in 5 minutes. And then, she ends up walking to school, but turns back because she's like, wait, actually, what does he want there?
Actually, that guy's kind of fucking hot looking.
Well, yeah. Also that, she is immediatly head over heels with this guy.
I was very nervous about this at first, because I thought this was going to be a bland Shinkai love interest situation, not unlike Children Who Chase Lost Voices. I got war flashbacks to that movie specifically, because I was like, wait a second, this is exactly what fucking Asuna did when she was so
It's funny that you bring Shun up, because the main guy, Sota, is literally just Shun in HD.
I think that movie was in HD too, but like this is just an older Shun.
Yeah, they just AI upscaled him. That's how I think of it in my head.
Yeah, I was very worried at first because like, oh no, is she like not going to have any agency of her own, and like, is she gonna fail the Bechdel test and is just going to like do this thing exclusively because she wants some dick?
Well, thank God the movie isn't like that. Suzume is a way better protagonist than Asuna. I'll get that out of the way.
Not even a
first
fucking
thing.
question.
Yeah, but anyway,
my only criticism, my off rip criticism of Suzume, the character, not the movie, is that I think her design as a silhouette at least is way too similar to Mitsuha.
I mean, admittedly, I was saying the main girl. I can't believe I forgot her fucking name. I feel so bad for this. In Weathering with You,
Hina
looked a little similar to Mitsuha. This one, Suzume looks way more similar. Admittedly,
Wait, you mean Hina?
Hina, yeah. I hate myself for forgetting that.
No, I think Suzume looks way more like Mitsuha than Hina does. Hina looks distinct.
Definitely.
Like, I think
Hina looks distinct enough. Suzume, you know what it is? I think it's just the red ribbons. I think that's the main thing.
It's the
that
ribbons
brings
and the
back.
same red eyes. I'm pretty sure she had red eyes, right?
I'm looking at it right now. They are orange.
Okay,
orange, brown.
Mitsuha's eyes are orange, right?
Hold on, I'm not looking at them right now. I was talking about Suzume's. They're like brownish orange.
Hold on,
So Mitsuha has the same color eyes, yeah, but they're like a brownish orange.
Okay,
unless we just have different definitions of
unless
red.
one of us is colorblind.
Oh god, the Bagel finds out he's colorblind for first time on a podcast. that would get so many clicks, actually. I hope that happens.
Yeah, so well, the other thing that I was very worried about her character was that whereas other Shinkai characters, you know, they get put into like the crux of the plot usually they're given the choice to, or like their actions are what drive it. She like gets involved into the story, like she doesn't even get like the chance to be like given the offer. She just goes completely unprompted, just like on the chance that she's gonna see the hot guy, and I felt that that was a little weird.
I mean, I don't think that's weird per se. I understand why she as a character would do it. Like, hey, this guy is hot, and also I wonder what he's doing at the ruins. Maybe I can meet him there, see what he's doing, have an adventure, you know? And I think it is pretty characterizing that she's willing to skip school just to, you know, see this dude. Although, admittedly, it's mostly characterizing in the sense of she is down bad.
Yeah, like
down horrendous for Cherokee.
What you literally just said made me think of like what the movie was trying to get at by the end, which will go into the spoilers. But that'll tie into my big criticism later. But for now, I just felt like, oh god, like sure, we have a main female character who is driven not by like the wantings of her heart, but the wantings of her vagina, and that doesn't make for the most.
It can also be wantings of her heart. All right, listen, I feel like there's a difference here. I'm too rom-com brains to have an issue with that.
Okay, well, you got on my dick for loving Shikimori when it wasn't
because
that
Shikimori sucks.
Okay, well, yeah,
Shikimori sucks.
It doesn't suck, but well, that's another topic altogether. All right, back to the movie. So she's going over to the ruins, and then she finds the door to darkness. Did someone mention the door to darkness? And then the fucking I couldn't help myself but like giggle every time they call like the malevolent force that comes out of the door the worm, because I just keep thinking about playing with a worm.
I did not think of that, but
you do not have the same friend group as me then. We said that shit to each other constantly.
So Suzume, she sees this door, and whenever she goes through it, she gets a brief glimpse of an alternate world, and then, goes through the other side, because it's just a door frame standing there, which is just cool off the bat. Like, I just like that. Nothing deep about it, I just like that. And
yes,
then
I
she
too
sees
love
this,
Monsters, Inc.
And then she sees this little stone thing on the ground, which we later learn is a keystone, and she picks it up, and it turns into a cat, who then runs off. And I just love the way, and then she goes to school and sees the worm coming out of the sky. And it's like, at this point, it's like impossible to guess how the fuck any of this happens. She picks up a rock, it turns into an animal, there's a random door, for some reason this dude wants to get there, and there's a worm in the sky.
Yeah,
only
Shinkai's
she
got
can
his
see.
foot on the gas when it comes to introducing the magic bullshit concepts in the movie.
But I love the way it's revealed. Like, it's just like, it's so, it almost reminds me of some of the same feelings you get from Serial Experiments Lane. Not to say that these have anything alike, but the comparison I'm making is that Serial Experiments Lane also just threw a bunch of bullshit at you, and it was on you to figure out what the fuck was even going on. And this movie is kind of the same way, except it gives you the answer pretty much immediately. But even still, I absolutely adore, the way it opens. It immediately hooks you in, with a mystery and answer, and now we've got, the plot going.
The worm itself, the first time I saw it, I thought it looked like once again, drawing back to parallels with Children Chase Lost Voices, it reminded me of Calamity Ganon from Breath of the Wild. So just like, oh, okay, like the circle, we've gone full circle. Nintendo stole from Shinkai to make Breath of the Wild, and now Shinkai stole their idea back to make his antagonistic force of nature for this movie. All is forgiven.
That definitely didn't happen, but I hope that is what happened.
It's like, all right, we're even, like, instead of Nintendo paying the man all the royalties they probably should give him for inspiring that version of Hyrule, he's just like, all right, let me just literally rip your design for not Phantom, Calamity Ganon, and we'll call it even. I got that McDonald's money. I'm Gucci.
Oh yeah, completely off topic, but goddamn, the McDonald's ad was very apparent.
Like we were talking in the Weathering with You podcast. Like, now that we saw Garden of Words characters in Your Name and Your Name characters in Weathering with You. We're like, all right, are Hodaka or Hina gonna show up in this movie? I don't think it's a spoiler to say that they don't, so don't get your hopes up. But instead of like the main characters of the last movie showing up in the next movie to make the Shinkai verse, I just hope now every single Shinkai movie from this moment forward all has a McDonald's place in it, or just a part where they're just characters for some reason. I don't care how contrived it is. Like McDonald's inserts itself into the movie.
Admittedly, I did see the two kids just fucking loving their McDonald's, going ham on it, just having the best time, and I'm like, okay, I get that you need the money. That is a little cringe. that is objectively cringe.
I didn't find it that cringe. I mean, I could tell I was getting pandered to, because if I had like kids I was trying to, raise on anime, and then they saw the McDonald's, and then if we were leaving the movie, they'd be like, Dad, can we get McDonald's? I'd be like, those fuckers. They knew exactly what they were doing.
That at least it have happened at least a few times. At least can we go to McDonald's?
At least in Weathering with You, it's actually like kind of like it could have been any like generic.
I
fast
thought
food
Weathering with
restaurant,
You did
least,
it tastefully.
Yeah, and at least
he
it
says
was
it's the best burger of his life, but you get why for plot reasons.
I was gonna
just
say
two kids fucking.
I was
loving
gonna say
McDonald's.
that's because that's where he meets Hina, and it makes sense.
And
for,
also
like,
that
a runaway like Hina to get like if she were gonna get a job like fucking anywhere to make money, like McDonald's would be an easy place to do it. But like here, like this, all they're doing is that this lady who's taking Suzume in by car is just happened to like is trying to take care of her kids and feed them, and so they just stop by at McDonald's, and they're just like loving the fuck out of it, and it's just
It's a little more forced this time around.
Yeah, but hey,
but it is kind of funny cringe, admittedly.
Yeah, so I can't wait for the next movie where I hope it opens on the McDonald's product placement. I'm really hoping that it's just like
these lustrous Shinkai backgrounds, and then just in the corner of the frame, the golden arches.
Yeah, as
illuminating the night.
Yeah, it's like a beautiful cityscape shot that's like in every Shinkai movie nowadays, and then and then it pans over like the McDonald's golden arches, and you hear like a piano rendition of ba da ba ba ba.
Right, and then McDonald's theme.
Fucking Ferris Bueller's Day Off style, the main character of that movie, just like enjoying a delicious Big Mac, and then it's like turns to camera and like is like like, oh man, I love these McDonald's burgers so much, man. It's like he's talking to the audience, but then like the next shot, it's just like he's actually talking to like one of his friends, but the shot he like looks like he's talking to the audience.
I mean, hey, they did have a fully animated straight up McDonald's ad on YouTube, and it does look really good.
Yeah, he's just in their pocket, man.
McDonald's just loves paying Shinkai. I mean, hey, if it gets the movies out, it gets the movies out, you know. Did you notice the Marlboro product placement?
I didn't notice that.
No,
I think I noticed the Nissan, though.
I did not notice the Nissan myself.
I think I saw the Nissan. Like, I think the only reason I picked up on it was because it was literally right outside the McDonald's. Well, like, it was in the same scene as the McDonald's scene, so I was just like, oh, I guess he's just...
Your
I
product
guess
placement brained.
Yeah, just collecting checks right now.
I mean, hey, I'd do the same thing if I were in his shoes.
Yeah, McDonald's, if you ever want to sponsor the podcast. We'll do it. Name your price. We'll do it for $100. We'll do it for $10.
I have some dignity, but not nearly enough to not do a McDonald's product placement.
In our audio-based show.
Yeah.
Editron, throw up a picture of a Big Mac. Okay,
no, don't. We're not sponsored. You don't get the Big Mac picture until we get sponsored. Yeah, there we go. Make McDonald's pay us. We'll replace it with a Whopper the second we get the sponsorship.
Replace the Big Mac with the Whopper as soon as we get the McDonald's sponsorship.
I mixed up the order, but it's better that way.
We just immediately turncoat as soon as we like collect their money.
And then we go up to Burger King and say, hey, why don't you pay us? And then turncoat like, again.
Hey, this is how much money McDonald's was paid us, so how much are you gonna offer? This is how we win.
God, this joke has gone on for long enough. But anyway,
yeah,
consumerism aside.
He controls us all. Okay, one last thing I want to mention because now I've just remembered it. After we left the movie, we were talking about the McDonald's scene and how funny it was, like back to back. It happened in 2 Shinkai movies. But then one of my friends just said like, "Oh, I kind of liked seeing it there because like it just reminded me of like the real world." And just what my friends were like giving him shit for. It's like, oh yeah, I said, oh
that is the most consumerism brained sentence I have ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I like being reminded of who my corporate capitalist overlords are. It's reassuring to know of the dystopian hellstate that we live in.
I guess now's as good a time of any since we've gotten way off track from the actual part of the show. I have on a technicality failed Shinkai month. And the reason why is because on a technicality, I did not watch all of Suzume. You see, I made the grave mistake of ordering a drink during a 2-hour movie. And so I had to get up and piss.
Okay, hang on. I think I did not have to take a bathroom break during the movie, so with context clues, I could probably piece together the scene that you missed and tell you about it.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's pretty late into the movie, because I was trying to hold it in, but I was like, fuck.
Was it before or after the big ceiling?
The big ceiling? Yeah, it's after that.
Okay, yeah, that's in spoilers then, so we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, so after this, Suzume's back at home, or rather, no, I skipped a scene. So as it turns out, the giant worm creature is coming out of this door. And so, Shun high resolution and Suzume are going together to close the door. Sota tries to get her to go away, but they end up closing it together because that's what they need to do to drive back the worm. And so after that, Sota is a little injured, and so they go back home. Suzume is ecstatic at this turn of events, like, oh my god, he's in my house, this is amazing. Would pay for his OnlyFans if she had the chance. And, but they go in their bedroom together. How tensionful, how so much romantic tension, and then a cat appears in the window. And Suzume, she saw the cat at a glance earlier, but she doesn't recognize it. I immediately recognized it, but that's not hard to put together. And so, she lets it in, and the cat starts talking, and then turns the main guy Sota into a chair.
Or rather, turned your boyfriend into his chair, Suzume.
Funniest shit I've ever seen. And so, the cat, his name is Daijin, has the voice of a little kid. And he's like, oh, I love Suzume, because she just gave Daijin food. And there's another reason for it that we are not made aware of yet. But, Daijin's like, I love Suzume so much, she's so cool. Fuck you, Sota. You can suck my dick. Turns him into a chair.
Yeah. Daijin, please don't turn me into Suzume's childhood chair.
And, okay, we just need to get this out of the way. This might be, a slight spoiler, but Suzume does in fact sit on and step on Sota as a chair.
She wants to fuck the chair.
She kisses the chair. If this were an R-rated movie, she'd be going full code gay ass on that chair. Except in this case,
Table Coon's had enough. It's Chair Coon's time.
Yeah, she would.
Yeah, because the chair is made of wood.
So
more like he would.
So from here on out, or rather not here on out, but here until the spoilers, the movie essentially takes on the role of an adventure-esque story where they're chasing down Daijin together as Suzume and the chair, having all sorts of misadventures, seeing new people, Suzume trying to get her off her ass, and just, living off the land. And
her
that's
mom's
the best
dead.
part
Did we
of the
mention
movie.
That?
Oh yeah, we didn't mention that. Another motherless character.
Put it on the fucking pile, am I right?
And so, yeah.
When are we gonna get a note for all the fatherless characters in anime, which are also a lot of them, but...
It kind of fucked up.
If
talking about motherless and fatherless anime, that'd probably be like more than half of all anime ever.
Didn't Tamaki, the aunt, say that Suzume's mom was a single mom?
Yeah, she's a single mom. So
okay,
wait,
so
Suzume's fatherless and motherless.
Okay, I don't know if they ever like established that, if they like either the father divorced or also died. I assume
it's just that they just specify that she was a single mom.
Okay. And then with Chair Sota in tow, they take a trip to chase Daijin all over Japan, and on the way they while closing various doors to keep that dang old worm out, they meet a colorful cast of characters and get entwined in all these different familial situations and meet all these kinds of people and just tour around the country.
And that to me is like combined with the opening scene that gets us into the plot, the best part of the movie, which is probably a bad thing, I reckon, because that's the setup portion. You're supposed to get really emotional from here on out, but it might just be me being so adventure story brained, or like loving the fun of living off the land. I also love that aspect of Weathering with You, and this movie basically does a similar thing. And I can see some people also getting kind of annoyed at the fact that the movie is a little, you could argue, repetitive, in that they're just closing doors over and over again, and it's kind of the same shtick each time. But I think the movie does a relatively good job of, like, even though we see it 3 times of them closing doors throughout this sequence, on top of the opening scene, we learn a little bit more about the plot and what the doors entail each time. So, you know, I think the movie does a good job of keeping it fresh feeling.
Yeah, I wasn't bored with the door closing scenes, but I did kind of feel a little robbed that, like, oh boy, like, this is this the possibility of introducing a cool new character that'll be like a fun addition to the cast. Okay, bye. We have to move on to the next one now.
Admittedly, I was waiting for one of the random people she met to join the cast. I was expecting it.
Hey, here's a pretty quirky orange delivery girl who seems pretty nice and has fun talking about her ex-boyfriend and how, like, boys are the worst to Suzume. She'd make like a fun companion character. Oh, okay, nope. Goodbye, orange girl. Oh, wait, okay, maybe we'll replace orange girl with this older mom character who has to look after these 2 kids, but is so busy with her job as a hostess in this bar, this karaoke bar, that she has to, leave her kids in the hands of a sitter. And so Suzume gets to know them by babysitting the kids and working the bar with the mom. That's pretty fun. That's pretty unique. They'd make for, like, the mom at the very least would make for a pretty, fun addition to the cast. Okay, bye, mom and her kids and the bar lady. Goodbye.
Well, see, I wasn't actually upset in the moment, because I thought
that they would all come back
movie,
at some point.
No. So what I thought one of the points of the movie was like forming new relationships at the beginning, or like forging bonds across the country or whatever, something dealing with that, where, she'd like keep their contact information. And the movie was really making a point to show it visually, like, okay, hey, the orange girl gives her a new outfit, the single mom gives her a hat. Yeah, that doesn't really amount to
mean
much.
anything. Yeah, because she gets a different outfit, but she puts on her old uniform by the end and gets rid of the hat.
Yeah, I thought maybe it would be, like, these relationships would mean something thematically, but not really. Which, I guess, sort of
does beg the question.
Attributes to one of my main criticisms, but
yeah, outside of it just
sure
being fun interactions, what was the point of their inclusions? Like, at least from a thematic standpoint, that ties in with, like, the overall, like, themes of the movie.
And admittedly, Weathering with You does kind of beat Suzume to death in this regard, because in Weathering with You, all the characters, all the new relationships forged, they all come back at the very end during the climax. And those friendships are what Hodoka needed in order to get back to Hina. It was absolutely essential that we forged all these relationships, because Hodoka alone would not have been able to reach Hina. That's just how far away she was. Here, yeah, it's, like I said, direct downgrade from Weathering with You in a lot of aspects. It's not as tightly knit or as impactful as of a narrative, but I am getting a little ahead of myself, because most of that comes later.
Yeah, so with all this going on, the worm is trying to get out, and they're all at the same time. They gotta chase down the cat, because the cat turns Soda into a chair. And when he's a chair boy, he's surprisingly agile. Like, he's about, like, as agile as like a like the
I
cat.
absolutely love that. Admittedly, Sota on his own is not that enrapturing of a character, but when he's in chair mode, just the fact that he's a chair and seeing the chair move around as it does is kind of just carries his character, honestly.
Yeah.
The little sound effect, it's a CG chair, but they do an amazing job with it to where it's like it feels completely justified.
Yeah, I don't
has
care
this
that they
amazing yeah, and like the great sound effects whenever he's running.
It almost sounds like a horse galloping, but it's just
Yeah.
the wood chair just going.
He's just so fast. And it's like, he spends a little time having to get used to being a chair, but once he does, he like sprints after Daijin, just full
He's
on
like,
in this
they're running
amazing
along
chase
roller coaster
sequence.
tracks
Yeah.
at an amusement park, and he's jumping from Ferris wheel cart to Ferris wheel cart, and he's like,
Yeah.
God damn boy, this chair got some hops.
Yeah, and like in the earlier scene where he's like going, like weaving between cars on the road, as like I said, the saxophone track playing in the background. He's a really fun addition in his chair form.
Do we have anything else we want to mention before we dive into spoilers?
Hina's character, not Hina, Suzume. I have Weathering with You on the brain. Suzume's
I don't blame you.
is-
You can't help but think of a better movie.
admittedly. And Suzume, I think she's a pretty good main character. She's got a lot of energy and is goddamn thirsty for this guy. But also, she's one of the big, I guess, trends with her character that I also thought was going to mean more, but didn't actually, is that she keeps everything a secret. In the movie does make a point to show her like hesitating, like, should I tell my friends? Because she is very energetic and social, and so the natural reaction is to do so, but she chooses not to. And in not explaining anything that's going on, she sort of becomes more isolated from the people who care about her, from her aunt, from her aunt's boyfriend. And maybe it was in the scene that I missed out, because I feel like, admittedly, her relationship with her aunt, I think, transformed entirely within the span that I was in the bathroom. So maybe
Were they
I just
at like
missed
the rest station when you went to the bathroom?
It was after that scene when they were in the car again, and then when I got back, the car had been totaled.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you what you missed in the spoiler section. Then I know what it was.
But yeah, it's a big thing that she keeps, she's keeping the secret from everyone and not explaining anything, because admittedly it does sound kind of like a crazy explanation, but it's choices like that characterize someone, that she's willing to go on this adventure. First of all, because she has the hots for him, but second of all, because it seems to me that she felt bad about starting this whole issue for this guy. Admittedly on accident, but she feels compelled to fix this. Just seeing her go on her own and making friends is, just really fun to be there with her. And she is the type who does very easily make friends, and so she gets along super well with all the people she meets. And she's just fun, right? I think she's another baller Shinkai protagonist. Although the cast is, on the whole, far weaker than Weathering with You, but we'll get to that more than likely.
This might be a hot take to you, but probably not to, I don't know, I don't know what the general consensus is on Suzume yet. We're hopefully we become the tastemakers with this and help influence people's opinion of Suzume.
We're gonna be like
prefer
Titchy with SAO.
Yeah, I prefer the cast of Your Name to this movie's cast.
Die.
I mean,
all right, listen. I think Mitsuha does give Suzume a run for her money at in the beginning of the film, but I think as the story goes on, with Suzume being, such an active protagonist, I think Suzume does just barely outclass Mitsuha. Taki, no question about it. I don't care for Taki at all.
I don't know why you're such a Taki hater.
Yeah, but Sota, like I said, kind of hard carried by being a chair, which isn't ideal, but it
whenever
works
he's
well enough.
whenever he's
doesn't
not a
make it-
chair,
Yeah.
I did kind of think, he's oddly more like, for some reason he's more expressive and more like enjoyable as a character when he's locked into the body of a chair who's
Well, that's because they put so much emphasis on finding fun ways for the chair to express itself, like how
yeah,
Sota sleeps on his stomach, and when he's a chair, he just falls over. Like there's one point where he's literally like standing up like against a wall or whatever, and he falls asleep, then like turns himself over in the goofiest position because he sleeps on his stomach, and he's doing so as a chair, which I thought was a fun running gag that just breathed a little more life into the character. But as a guy, as a human, he just sort of comes off as a stoic pretty guy.
yeah. I mean, I here's the thing: when he is a chair, and I will give credit to the animators, they made him very expressive for being a fucking chair. So that's bravo on their behalf. But even when he is a chair, he just is like talky, or like has the energy, and like not the meekness of Taki, because he's kind of a pretty meek guy in general, but he has the well, I say Taki's meek, but then I remember he got into a fight before the beginning of the movie. So I don't know. I'm thinking of Taki with Mitsuha in the body. So Taki is like more fun than you're giving him credit for, I think. And
I just don't like him. And I admittedly, a big part of that is Taki's design. If a character has a bad design, you have to try real hard for me to get
I don't think he has a
them.
bad design.
He just registers as some dude to me. I mean, we've had this conversation before, so maybe
go watch
we're
the Your Name
repeating
podcast.
ourselves. Yeah.
You probably already have, because it's the most viewed Shinkai podcast on the channel. Until this one, that is, hopefully.
Hopefully. But yeah. But I think the one thing we can agree on in terms of characterization is that Weathering with Yu's cast thrashes this one to death.
No, this one puts its head on the curb and like makes him bite it as they stomp on the back of it.
It's literally not even a question. And that is yet another, knock against this movie. Whereas Weathering with You can get so fucking invested in these characters. I literally like Weathering with You more and more the more I just look back on it and remember all the good things about it. Like, Weathering with You has only improved, in my opinion. Whereas Suzume, I saw it, and then as, I thought about it more and more, I was like, got some issues, though.
Yeah. I couldn't help but be reminded of, like, the pairing of the girl character that Taki liked and his friend when Sota's character in Sota's friend in this movie hangs out with Aunt Tamaki, and I couldn't help but like be reminded of their dynamic, where it's like, it seems like they are throwing these characters together because we need some side characters for our main character to have chemistry with and bounce off of. Whereas, because like the friend character is ultimately a vehicle as to which to get these guys from their one location to the next, because he doesn't really add much to the overall story.
I think you may or may not agree with me here. I think the closest this movie gets to being boring is when all the characters are in the car together, and although the dialogue is, decently meaningful and there is still things happening, which is why I don't say it's truly boring, it's the two characters that I'm not invested in, paired with Suzume, who at one point just straight up sleeps in the car, and it's like, well, okay, now I have two people who I don't give a fuck about. Tamaki and Sota's friend, never gonna remember his name because
Shirazaki or something.
I don't know.
That sounds
something like
right.
that. Here,
I'm just gonna say Shirazaki.
I'm gonna say the Marlboro advertisement.
Yeah, the guy who
character.
smokes. Who I thought
Dude who smokes.
I thought with the way that he was interacting with the aunt that she was gonna end up falling for him and cuck the one guy that's a coworker.
I didn't think it would happen, but I just kept on imagining it in my mind, like, god damn.
Dude, you want to talk about down bad characters? That guy was like, he was the ultimate simp. He was gonna buy her plane tickets. He was gonna like come with her on her journey. I was expecting him to get cucked for the guy who's like,
oh yeah,
probably
he did want to buy them a train ticket. Yeah,
10 to 15 years younger than he is, and then she is too.
But yeah, let's see. What have we not talked? I like Daijin as a quasi villain. He's both adorable when he needs to be, but also so menacing. Like when you see Daijin on top of like the Ferris wheel or on top of the worm when it's above Tokyo City, that is straight menacing, dog. That is I like Daijin a lot.
I like when they like overly animate him to give him like the big over the top expressions to make him like a big Cheshire cat, but I wouldn't think of him as too menacing.
I think there are some shots where he looks menacing. Like, okay, think about how powerless the main characters are against Daijin. This is getting...
I mean, you say that, but at one point, Suzume does just grab the cat, and the cat just says, "Ow, you're hurting me! Stop!" Like she can fucking snap her like snap the neck like a twig.
But see, that's at the point where okay, you're not giving the movie enough credit here, I think, because she can't, as far as I know, right? Like she still needs Daijin around at that point for the most part, because Daijin, can turn back into the... Oh god, I'm getting so close to spoilers. Do you want to just start spoiler section while I kick you to death for having the wrong opinion?
Yeah, we can go ahead and dive into the spoiler section of this review. They've heard enough about our opinion to
all
get
right, yeah,
grasp
go watch it. It's good. But not as good as Weathering with You. Watch Weathering with You before you watch this. If you haven't seen Weathering with You, you are so much better off watching that.
Convince your local theater to play Weathering with You. Just hand them a Blu-ray copy of it and tell them, be like, hey, just put this on the projector. I'll rent out the theater for the 2 hours.
All right, so now that that's out of the way, she still kind of needs Daijin around to turn so that he can turn back into a keystone. It is, I think, up in the air in the movie as to whether or not anyone can turn into a keystone, but I don't think, Suzume on her own would not be able to turn someone into a keystone. And, maybe she could convince Gramps to, turn someone into one, or like teach her the method, something like that, maybe. But, in general, it's more convenient to have Daijin around at this point in time. And so, although she can kill Daijin, it's still like, but no, for most of the movie, it's them chasing after Daijin to get him to turn into the keystone, which Daijin, for the most part, is refusing to do throughout much of the movie. And so it's really, it's kind of a situation that's impossible to win. When Daijin's like looking on high as, or like, oh, I'm remembering the scene now when Daijin jumps on to Sota in Chair-kun and is like, "You're the keystone." It's like, it's so great because, you're seeing the plan that it was admittedly obvious, and I don't know how Sota didn't realize earlier. But nonetheless, the plan falling into place where we see, like what Daijin is trying to do and why he's running away. Like, I don't know, something about it is really, really doing wonders for me. You can say it's easy to kill Daijin, but at the end of the day, Sota's still screwed. He's still the keystone. They can kill the keystone, but then they won't have a keystone. Except for Sota.
I will say that I liked Daijin on the basis of him being a little shit rather than being like a threatening
he's also
menace.
a little shit.
Because I love that the way that they're able to track him through Japan is via social media and just news broadcasts and being like,
That's
hey,
amazing.
guys, look at this weird fucking cat that just came by and like thinks it's people. And like there's like a whole montage. One of like someone makes a Twitter post saying like, oh man, I feel like I'm in Whisper of the Heart, where it's just the cat. There's a picture I distinctly remember of like it wearing a train conductor hat while it's standing by a train
That
station.
was amazing.
Which implies that someone like let a train conductor took off their hat, put it on the cat, and the cat stood still for the picture. And like, yeah, that little fucking piece of shit Daijin would do that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, he's walking down like
Daijin.
a suspension bridge, like along the wires of it on the side.
Daijin is honestly 90% of why I think this movie overall has better characters than Your Name. Because Daijin is like, you can say like, oh, but the side characters in Your Name, oh, but Toki. Bro,
Okay,
Daijin
but what
thrashes Toki to death.
Well, I don't know about that, but explain this to me then, as you are so the number one Daijin stan. What did you think about Daijin 2?
Fucking nothing.
Yeah,
What
I was like,
what does he do?
He is.
I guess he
bigger
turns
and
into
black.
a big monster.
He does turn into a big monster cat, which is the most beautifully animated thing in the movie.
But other than that, Black Cat has like no personality.
Then also explain this to me. What the fuck was the point of Daijin 2? They call him fucking Su Daijin in the movie, but I think Daijin 2 is way funnier. What was the point of him possessing Tamaki to make her say all of the horrible mean shit to Suzume?
That is one of the most baffling decisions in the movie, in my opinion. Because
Like, is he supposed to be like an antagonist?
Okay, so what I think the idea is that it's a shocking way to reveal this new character. Whims of gods, whatever, don't really need an explanation. Gods just do weird shit.
Yeah, I too enjoy
Makoto
excuses for lazy
Shinkai
writing.
would, yeah, of course Makoto Shinkai would think like that. But I guess the main thing, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh wait, no, I remembered it again. So I guess the main thing that baffles me there is that it's taking away some agency from Tamaki, where it's leaving a little question mark, because even though, she does later clarify, like, hey, that's only partially true, I only think that some of the time, still given that little question mark of how harsh would Tamaki have been without Daijin, whatever, Daijin 2.0, how harsh would she have been without Daijin 2.0 there? And it's like, isn't the scene cooler when she's the one saying it? Doesn't that, lend more weight to her words?
I mean, there was a point where, like, if you wanted to make it so, like, she was the one actually, like, saying that and she meant all those words. I did find it weird that they followed up with, like, almost like a cartoonishly evil, like, mean stepmother smile of it being like, give me my life back, you vermin, you wretch,
well,
wretched little girl.
I think that was
that was definitely
too.
Yeah, the cat's doing it. That's why I was saying if you were trying to make it so that she actually said it and meant it, you'd have to rework the scene to get rid of that.
But I
to
think
make it
reworking
not
the scene
come
would be
out
worth
as to make her not come off as like this entire 180 of her character, be like, oh, you get where she's coming from. She's like she's an aunt, the aunt to this girl whose sister died, and she has to look over her as her own daughter now. And she kind of had to sacrifice some of the best years of her life to do that. And maybe like, and she's made it a point to be like, oh man, it's been so hard to find a husband because of this, but I still love my daughter. But then to her to be like, no, I've always hated you, you've been a burden, you fucking suck, bitch, you robbed me my life, give it back, you fucking whore. It'd be like, oh, okay, I hate this bitch now.
So I guess that sort of leads into my next. I guess the biggest criticism I have with this movie, I'm not sure if it'll be your criticism, but my biggest it's that it's a bit of a, what was the point? It's a bit of a,
I did literally ask my friends after the movie was over as we walked out, like, so what was the point of this whole thing again?
So
It's like,
I'm gonna do
I
a
don't
bit
get
of
it.
scene setting here because you can draw, similarities to Your Name and Weathering with You, but I want to tell all of you why that's dumb and bad. So Your Name is very clearly a story about just like a relationship that seems fatalized by distance slash the supernatural, literally time, and we get the main. It is solely about the main character going through all the hoops, literally overcoming time itself through Masubi in order to get to Mitsuha. It is about someone who cares about someone else so much that they are willing to go through hell and back just to get them back. Now, Weathering with You is kind of also about the same thing, but to add on to that and to give the movie even more thematic depth and purpose, it has this incredibly evocative ending. And we understand the stakes, I won't say early in the movie, but early enough that it's like, we know the weight of chasing after Hina, right? We know that by getting her back from Rain Girl Land, Tokyo's going to be flooded. We understand that from a fairly early point in the movie. We get this amazing sequence of Tokyo flooding, all the news casts going on. This amazing OST is in the background.
How fucked up would it have been if when the worm was like about to like come down all of Tokyo and Daijin was like, if you don't place soda as the keystone into the worm now, the entire earth will break and be destroyed. How fucked up would it have been to continue on like the extreme to make it Weathering with You's ending, but even more extreme. I don't care if the fucking world destroys. I want my hot OnlyFans chair boyfriend, and then just fucking just doesn't seal him away, and it just lets the earth fucking explode.
That would have been I now that you're saying that, I think that would have been a better movie.
Well, no, I can't. Like,
depending on how you go through it.
At least in Weathering with You, they kind of imply that Tokyo was rained down over the course of like 3 years, and
No, I think that would have been awesome. Just make the main character horrified at what she's done.
Don't even make her horrified. Just make her be like, oh, you know what? I made a fucked up choice, but you know what? At least my share boyfriend is okay.
Well, then she'd be the villain.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Daijin becomes the good guy and has to try and restore the situation.
Yeah, that's a different movie entirely. Yeah, like at the end of it all, just like the reason I was asking what the point was because so the movie is ultimately about overcoming grief and processing loss, and
you say that, but it's totally not the case.
It is
absolutely not the case.
Yeah, you see,
I know where you're coming from, but it is not.
Like literally, what the fuck was the point of all of that? Like, stopping in the first act of the movie to be like, hey, look at all these cool people we're meeting along the way on our trip across Japan to track down this cat and close all these doors. Oh, by the way, this movie was about processing grief and letting go of your of the past and like processing the death of your loved ones this whole time. And I was like, what? Since when?
So my main thing with this movie is that if I had to ascribe intentions to it thematically, it is the Suzume movie. It is not about processing loss, really. It is not even about a relationship fatalized by distance / the supernatural. It's
Suzume's bizarre
not even
adventure.
About selfishness. Yeah, it's Suzume's bizarre adventure. And whatever she happens to be going through at any point in the movie,
that's the theme.
And in fairness, I don't even think that's necessarily a terrible way to write a story, so long as the character is going through things that are interesting, and so long as you flesh those out and add, depth to that. I've written similar-ish stories before where characters
okay, but here's the rub. Here's the rub, Crunchy. So at the end of this movie, we're shown that like all of the issues, the whole thing, where it all boils back down to is that Suzume was a child. She was a victim of the. Oh god, fuck! Excuse me. I'm getting so much in rant mode. I'm burping up a storm. So the whole point of the movie was that Suzume was a victim of the infamous 311 tsunami from 2011 in March 2011 that killed like 20,000, like 13,000 Japanese people. It was a big tragedy. And I kind of feel really bad about for forgetting about until I had someone one of my friends explain it to me. I was like, oh shit. That shit was like 4 9/11s, but like, but with the removed guilt of blaming it on the Middle East and a religious minority. So her mom died in the tsunami, and that's what caused her to be alone. And she couldn't fucking deal with it. She, like, as a child, she was like, no, mommy's not dead. She's just out there somewhere. You gotta help me find her. And she refused to like believe it, and so that internalized as trauma to the point where, like, even in her diary she would scratch out all like the
one of my favorite parts of the movie.
In retrospect, now that like on repeat viewings, that's going to be more powerful, because now you know that she tried to process her trauma by being like, she probably wrote down stuff like, oh, mom, the tsunami happened, mom died. But no, she's just like burying it all and crossing all that out. Now, that would make for incredible like character building and emotional drama for a character like Suzume. Unfortunately, when you watch the beginning of the movie and you at the start, you would have no fucking clue that Suzume was supposed to be this sad, depressed girl who internalizes all her issues and like doesn't tell people shit. Cause she like does none of that and is like shown to be this happy, like you said earlier in this podcast, is easy to make friends with. She's not like this reclusive loner who like...
It's the same thing that Asuna had during Children Who Chase Lost Voices, except this isn't exclusively about processing trauma and grief. But the thing is, Suzume, shows no indication of, having, still dealing with her mother's death, aside from the strained relationship with her aunt. So, to me, what it reads as is, I'm not even sure if processing grief was even really the point. And
but
I
like,
know
it has
that sounds
to have
a little
been,
crazy.
because that's how it ends.
Yeah,
that's the big emotional...
It's framed like that, yeah.
That's the big emotional, like, crux of the finale.
Yeah, and it is absolutely framed like that. But at the same time, it almost, because of the context of the movie and everything else in it, and the fact that Suzume does not, display any grief throughout the movie, it almost feels like just a kind of an aside thing. Like,
that's not good storytelling.
Yeah, it's not. It's not good storytelling.
It feels like...
that sort of contributes to this feeling of, well, okay, that didn't really mean much of anything. But on top of that, we also get the relationship with her aunt, which could be another theme of the movie. Like, oh, family, getting strained because of trauma. And, that, and also, going into mothering when, you really don't want to. You want to experience the best years of your life and not have to work all the time in order to support a child. But correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe this was all shown in the scene where I was in the bathroom. That's not really... The relationship isn't gone into in a whole bunch of depth. At least not enough to make it like this big, powerful theme of the movie.
No, it's not.
Correct me if I'm... Okay.
The deepest conversations the two of them have are while they're on the bike and like biking to their old house where the tsunami happened, and the other deep conversation is the scene at the gas station with the where she was possessed by the cat and went off on her. And you would think that their relationship would be a little bit more interesting and a little bit more fleshed out for it to be, the new focal point of the movie. But it just isn't. Like, the scene that you missed, by the way, when you went to the bathroom was, I'm pretty sure, what was the last thing you remember seeing before you left?
They were in the car, and I was, wondering, like, when do I go to the bathroom? When will be a good time? When will I not miss something important? And I was like, okay, they're in the car again. I'll just rush off.
Did you see
I know
where
that car is just people talking.
Did you see the part where Soda's friend tried to put up the roof of the car when it rained, but it was broken and doesn't close all the way?
Yeah.
Okay, admittedly, you missed probably the best joke in the movie, where the reason that the car was totaled was because they the second cat joined them in the car, which I didn't understand, because I thought that Suzume would have viewed the Daijin 2 as like an antagonist for possessing her mom and making her say all that fucked up shit. But they're quick to just take him in regardless. I don't know why. So Daijin 2 starts talking, and that gets the friend and Tamaki's attention, and they're like, what the fuck, that cat just fucking talked, bro. It's like, we got fucking Garfield 2 in the car, and they're about to hit a truck that's coming on because they're not paying attention, so the guy swerves out of the way, the car drives off the road and falls down a hill, and the airbags deploy, and then it also causes the roof to close completely, and then the friend is like, oh shit, the roof finally works, and then his car door just falls off of the hinge completely and breaks, and he's like, hey, it could be worse.
I wish I saw that. That sounds hilarious.
Yeah, that got the most laughs out of anyone in the theater. Well, okay, this is a quick aside.
Oh, actually, okay, after your aside, I have another aside, because this is fucking hilarious.
Okay, I really hope this is the same thing. Did you watch the trailers for your movie? Did you get in time for the trailers?
Yeah, I did see some trailers.
Okay.
I saw Spider-Verse 2 trailer, Elemental.
Did you see a trailer for the live-action Knights of the Zodiac movie by chance before yours?
I don't think so.
Oh, was there like a Chinese or like an Asian-looking guy who was like about, hey, this girl is the reincarnation of Athena, and there's like a bunch of guys in like armored suits?
I did see it. Okay.
Okay. My fucking brain is broken. In the promotional, like, the headlines for that movie, like the blurbs that they use to like get you excited, like every hero has an origin, like this story is going to be told. The fucking, it's like,
oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's Among Us in big gold letters. Dude, our theater erupted.
I want to do an edit of that. That they had to have known what they were doing.
I don't know. It's funnier if they don't. Because literally everyone in our theater. Granted, it wasn't too many. I think there was like 10 people, 4 of which were myself and my friends. But every one of us like fucking lost it.
Okay, so I have a similar story. So during the movie, there's a scene where Suzume goes up to the chair to, kiss it, right? So this mother and her little young daughter walk into the theater, presumably lost. They went into the wrong theater. They go into the movie, they see the scene where Suzume kisses the chair, and immediately proceed to walk out. They showed up at the worst possible time.
Anime when I'm trying to show it to my parents. Anime when your friends walk in.
It literally is that. Actually, she doesn't kiss the chair in that scene, but she nearly does. Pretty much.
Yeah, there's 2 scenes like that. One where she's about to kiss the chair, and then one where she is kissing the chair.
Yeah. That got a kick out of me. That was amazing.
Did you also laugh when Among Us showed up?
Yeah. It's incredible.
All our friends were like looking at each other like, this is so we all acknowledged that it was like the fucking stupidest thing, but we couldn't help ourselves.
It's like the Nagatoro
our generation
sus voice call meme.
Our generation has just been poisoned. There's no other way around it.
We are
An
I hate
entire
Zoomers.
phrase that was like commonplace before and that I'd read before and think nothing of it. Just like, yep, that is a common human phrase, is now forever ruined. I will forever think of the funny Red Alien Man game.
I wonder if we'll be 60 and still thinking about that.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
All right,
But
back to the movie.
Yeah, back to sanity. When you really boil down to it, all right, when you really boil it down, this movie's just kind of another glorified relationship closed over distance movie. But because it is not,
I mean, kinda.
Is there a theme that I missed? Because I've tried searching for. I mean, I came out of the movie like, what was the point? So I kept on searching for things to like thematically go on about. Oh wait, I remember another thing. So there's yet another theme with an asterisk to it that I didn't mention before, which is that okay, so the whole reason Daijin's whole scheme is that he wants to. He's tired of being a keystone, so he sacrificed his life essentially in order to become a keystone. And when he gets out of the keystone on accident, he's like, "Well, I don't want to do that anymore. That's kind of cringe.
Yeah, fuck
Hey,
that.
bro, bro, Sota, just take my place, bro. Be the new keystone." And so he turns him into a keystone, and that's the whole point. And at the end, they convince Sota to become a keystone again. And that was giving me sort of selfish love vibes. Like, okay, we're gonna sacrifice someone else's life for mine, and our reasoning is just, I really, really want this person instead of you. Fuck you. You suck, Daijin. Get out. And Daijin's like, okay, damn, bro. But the thing for me is that it's just so much less effective than the way Weathering with You told that theme. Because, alright, what would have hard sold this to me is if we see the Daijin backstory, we see him give up the life before, we get like a brief glimpse, just the briefest of glimpses to know, like, okay, he's given up a good life here, then he becomes the keystone, and we see all of that unfold, we see the sadness at him becoming a keystone, and we know just how much it meant to him. So that when it's time to put him back, it's still really sad, but it's like, they just want it. They're just being selfish assholes in a way, but at the same time, it's just like, it's what you gotta do. I'm thirsting over this guy too hard, Daijin. You gotta become a keystone again. If that had been the case, and there had been more emphasis on that, that would have registered to me as like, okay, you're like actually pretty powerfully, going on about a theme. Because I do care about Daijin, and if you had shown me those stakes in a more clear way, I would have been all over that. But it doesn't. And so it's sort of like, okay, I understand cognitively that Daijin is in fact giving something up, and that they are, it's another selfish love thing. But at the same time, it totally doesn't feel like it compared to Weathering with You.
Yeah, especially when you then throw in Daijin 2, who we get no fucking characterization for other than he's kind of like a dick because he made Tamaki say all that mean shit. So like, all he does essentially when he shows up, he makes Tamaki say mean shit, becomes big cat boss monster to fight the worm, and then becomes hit that second keystone again.
I think this movie just has too many themes it's trying to say, and not enough actually put into making them like conveyed in a way that really, really hits you in the head or the heart. Either of those, hidden in either of those places would have been great. But it just...
Here's my another big problem I have with the movie. It's two movies stapled together. Like, after Soda becomes the keystone, and I thought the ending of the movie was gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna go on this this big emotional journey to get Soda back, because here we go. But then, like, little did I know that there was a whole other movie. Like, this wasn't like the final like act of like the last 20 minutes or the last 15-20 minutes of the movie. There was a whole other fucking movie stapled on the end of this.
Admittedly, I did, we got to the point where she's about to, push Daijin down onto the pavement, turn him into a red splatter. And I was like, okay, we're nearing the end of the movie. We have to be. And then
Nope.
there's a road trip. And like I said, that's the most boring part of the movie, or at least the closest it gets to being truly boring. And yeah, you really didn't need it, in all honesty. And
how fucked up was it that orange girl and bar mom girl don't get to come along on our journey, but fucking the friend character does when he shows up when he has less screen time than either of them the first time he shows up. He's like around for like a minute or two and then he just fucks off.
They don't have awful chemistry together, admittedly, but it's still like
He's kind of fun.
too cute. Yeah, I don't dislike him. His presence is fine, but it's like, but I mean, you're spending together and forever in a car together.
How fucking awesome would it have been if Orange Girl and Bar Mom Girl came along and started talking with the aunt about their time spent with Suzume and telling how fucking a cool, rad girl she is.
All right, listen, now that you're saying that, I just in my head came up with a better version of Suzume. Have Suzume be very obviously, affected by the grief of her past, and, she makes, she's like a recluse, right? She's not energetic. She's a recluse, but, in finding this guy she has the hots for, she eventually, comes out of her shell a little bit. She goes on this adventure that causes her to be more social, and then...
This is literally the movie they should have made.
Yeah.
What you're describing is the movie they should have made.
She's about to lose Shun High Res again, Sota. I keep on wanting to call him Shun, but... she's about to lose Sota, and she's like, I can't take this anymore. I can't take another loss. So she goes to her newfound friends. She's like, we need to get him back. She finally explains it. She explains the trauma she's been through. She's finally coming out of her shell, telling people what the heck is wrong with her when she's been hiding it this entire time. She's been soldiering through all her emotions this whole time, but she's finally letting other people know about it. They go on an adventure together. They get Sota back. She doesn't have to cry again. She meets her child self. She tells her, she who has finally processed the trauma knows that she can see, she has a new boyfriend. They kiss, which they don't do in this movie, which sucks.
Yeah, no, they kind of kiss.
Okay, kinda, as a chair version. But she has a boyfriend now, and she with all these new friends made stronger for it, finally coming out of her shell, she tells her old self like, hey, bro, you gotta process death. And although she knows she's gonna forget it, she's like, bro, I got your back. These are the lessons I learned. 10 out of 10 masterpiece.
Yeah, and that's why this movie is mid, because that's the movie we should have gotten. I was literally thinking a very similar premise. Like, if the whole point of the movie was about, by the end of it, like, processing grief and moving on from, the loss of loved ones, and, not allowing, like, it's okay to grieve, but don't, like, allow yourself to, like, get washed over it to the point where you, like, lose yourself as a person, then have Suzume be a recluse, or like someone who's closed off from her emotions around people, and then she opens up and it's like, hey, turns out she's like this fun, quirky kind of girl, but nope, it goes through pretty much the majority of the movie where like you wouldn't even know that she was sad about her mom dying in a tsunami.
I'm still not even convinced she is still torn up about it, because it so comes off as if she's already moved on, and then she, who has moved on from the beginning of the movie, just,
Shinkai's coming down from on high being like, oh, sorry, Suzume, you must be at least this sad to get to the final act of the movie. Kapow, you are now sad.
It is admittedly, like, there's a lot of question marks. There are a lot of questionable decisions, and I think that is the main thing. It didn't make its intentions clear enough, and even if there was an intention, it didn't act on it, to where it kind of just comes off as yet another... The one theme that is actually acted upon and makes sense and is fully explored is a relationship fatalized by distance / the supernatural. That
every
thing that Shinkai does every movie. Yeah.
So what makes this one special?
If I had to be optimistic about it, it's one of those movies again, but with a new flavor and done adequately. Its plot has less holes in it, so I would by that metric alone, consider it better than Your Name. You know,
I just
more
prefer
fulfilling
Your Name's
experience.
energy because I'm dreading rewatching this movie if I ever like decide to rewatch it because like first of all it did not need to be fucking 2 hours long.
Yeah.
Like you could easily trim out fucking 20 to 30 minutes of this movie.
I mean, I'm not sure.
Or
aside
at the
from
very
fucking
least
road trip,
rework
don't- yeah.
parts to make it more thematically resonant. If it were a like thematically resonant 2 hours, I'd be more willing to sit through it again. But now that I know that so much of it has nothing to do with what the movie's actually about by the end, I'll just be like,
Yeah.
all right, we're just spinning our wheels. You're just wasting my fucking time.
And maybe the Suzume rewatch will kick it back down to a 7 for me. I can say that despite me preferring this movie to Garden of Words does tell a more... I guess it has less excess and everything has more purpose in Garden of Words. Whereas with this movie, what puts it above is just... I guess I prefer its vibe, and Garden of Words is 40 minutes. There you go.
Yeah, the last few notes that I have, because I feel like we're winding down. It's glad to see that despite all like the different made changes, the more things change, more things stay the same. Shinkai's love for trains and feet has not died.
What is the train counter? Were you keeping count?
I was not keeping track because I was in a theater, so I did count a number of trains. There's trains at the beginning of the movie, which I noticed because I was like, oh yeah, I'm watching a Shinkai movie, all right. They take several trains on their destination. The cat gets on a train. They pass by Mount Fuji and she makes a point to the chair to be like, why the fuck didn't you wake me up? We passed Mount Fuji. I wish I could have seen it. I'm sad now.
Characters do also get cut off by a train. Sota is on the train, about to leave. He like hugs her one last time, and then the train's gone. Always necessary in a Shinkai movie.
Can we also take a moment to point out that he literally rips off the ending to Weathering with You, but does it worse?
Explain what exactly you mean by that.
The characters meet up again by the end and reunite, but
yeah. Okay. Admittedly, although, was it established how far in the future it was?
They don't give an exact time frame, but it does sound. But from the way that they make it a point to have them say goodbye, and because he's gonna go finish his like grad school shit to become a teacher, and he says he'll
I was
visit.
under the impression that this wasn't that far in the future.
Maybe it was like a year or two. Granted, Weathering with You was only like 3 years, so that wasn't that big a time gap either. It wasn't like Your Name, where it's like a fucking 10-year time gap.
Well, yeah, your name be crazy like that. But yeah, Weathering with You. I mean, its ending thrashes anything in this movie to death in every regard. I think that my theory, I was positing last time that Shinkai may have an aversion to having characters kiss. I know that Suzume kisses him in his chair form, but no human form kiss. Just ain't happening.
I think he's what my game theory is that Shinkai is like has been silently working on his like ultimate romantic story masterpiece in like the background for years and years and years, and he's like, all right, it'll be like the final film that I make before I retire or die. And then only then will the characters of this movie finally kiss for realsies.
That movie
I can provide no other
10 out of 10 masterpiece.
Better explanation. And I'll have an even more beautifully evocative feet shot than Suzume going into a shower and washing her bloody feet into the down the blood off her feet into the bloody water down the drain.
If I had to pose a game theory for it, I think that Shinkai is just he's of the opinion or under the impression that kisses are like an overdone way to show romance in movies, which is dumb. I don't buy into that, but he's like, how can I show it in every way except kissing? I feel like that's where he's coming from, and I just want to shake him by the shoulders, be like, just make them kiss.
You had
I'm
Hodoka
romance brains.
pretty much proposed to Hina in the last movie, so he'll skip steps in the romance plan.
I am romance brain. Just give me food.
You will take your chair kissing crumbs and you will like it.
Dry as a desert at the last minute.
No, but did you also pop off at the bloody foot shot?
It honestly didn't even register to me that it was yet another foot fetish shot.
I think it's like the only like one where I noticed that the feet were like detailed and like drawn in that way that like a detailed Makoto Shinkai foot shot can only be drawn. So I'm glad to see that that's still going as strong as ever.
His final movie is gonna be nothing but foot shots. Calling it now.
Yeah, it's gonna be a society like where people just don't wear shoes. Like shoes are outlawed.
There we go.
Or it's gonna be like a tribal like group where like they're natives or like this fantasy race where they just like live in the forest and they don't wear shoes. They live on an island like Moana and they don't wear shoes.
I'm struggling to think of anything else that I need to say about the movie.
The movie just kind of ends.
Yeah, it ended shockingly quickly. When the title card came on, I was like, wait, what?
I literally said aloud, like, that's it? 2 hours and that's it?
Yeah, you're that asshole in the theater who's like complaining about the movie verbally while everyone's watching.
Yeah, there were only 10 people, so I felt like I could get away with it. I didn't like loudly go like, that's it? Like, exaggeratedly to the entire audience. I just said like, I think enough so my friends could hear.
If you're gonna say something in the theater, you got to go all in. Just make sure everyone hears it and has a worse time because of it.
Granted, there are like we get those couple little snippets like while the credits are rolling, so it's not like a complete that's fucking it where it's like it's not like a
Place Promised.
Place Promised or Children Chase Lost Voices where it's like so abrupt and like there's like even the crumbs that we got in Children Who Chase Lost Voices were like so much of a nothing burger. This one at least gave us like closure to the relationship between Suzume and Soda, so that's at least something.
Yeah, all in all, this podcast at least gave me more faith in making a Suzume video, but also confirmed that it would take too long, and I don't want to edit for
make it short, bro.
15-minute video. What would I even say?
I don't know, just take the best points that we made in this podcast and
the best points we made in this podcast would need like 5 minutes of explanation at least.
Then cut out the good parts and just be like, just copy what.
Hey guys, Suzume's good, and that have like the flashing text on screen.
Suzume no Tojimari or
Subway
Suzume's Door Locking or Suzume is a 2023 anime movie directed by Makoto Shinkai. And just go full Totolini.
No, Subway Surfers and Minecraft. We're getting all the attention span degradation in this one short as I proceed to say nothing meaningful about Suzume. I might actually do that as a parody.
Hey, if nothing else, just I don't know, record for your side channel for like 15 minutes.
Oh, you know what? There we go. Parodical short for the side channel of just the most cancerous, poorly done short on earth. Like the one video Digi made parodying the Canapa effect.
Do we have any closing final thoughts on Suzume?
Despite spending a significant amount of this podcast criticizing it, and as much as I do think that there's missed potential here, and that it just doesn't really have much of a point or anything to say that other Shinkai movies haven't said but better, I still like it, oddly enough. And, I like the characters for the most part. I think it's just a lot of fun. It's paced very well. It's another Shinkai W, even with the slight L's taken in the process. That being said, if you think it's better than Weathering with You, kill yourself.
Just flat out. Yeah, I'm of a bit of a harsher opinion. I think it's in terms of like movies that you could watch, it is passable. I wouldn't, recommend it as enthusiastically as I would Weathering with You, Garden of Words, or Your Name. I'd be like, this to me on the Shinkai ranking list, this is the exact midpoint between his 3 bad movies and his 3 good movies. This is like smack dab in the middle in 4th place, sandwiched between 5 centimeters per second and Your Name, as like the point where, okay, he's like, if we're like scaling the movies by like their worst qualities to their best qualities, this one's like in the midway point of being like, all right, this is where, we're now entering good territory. Like 5 centimeters per second is kind of boring and doesn't have a lot to do with much of its own story. This is kind of like that. Maybe like if for that specific problem to a worse degree, but at least it's like a more cohesive story. At least it has a beginning, middle, and end that while it may not be thematically cohesive, it's at least narratively cohesive. So, with all that being said,
if you don't care about themes, this movie will be like just fine for you, because it's got good characters and a fun story to tell for the most part. It just doesn't have a direction, which would have sealed the deal. Admittedly, it met my expectations, but admittedly, it did not surpass them, and it did not get as close to surpassing them as I would have liked. I consider myself a Shinkai fan currently, but this is no Weathering with You. I've said that like a billion times, and it's kind of getting old. But seriously, Weathering with You is just a masterpiece. Watch it. I literally like it more and more the more I think about it. Please watch it.
Yeah, this is with this movie now, it's I've actually dislike 6 out of 10 is overall positive score, but at least on my personal rating scale, I only recommend 7 things that are at minimum 7 out of 10 to people, just on the basis of life is too short and there's too much like things in the world already. You have to, if you want to like live your life and enjoy like the best things possible, as many of the best things as possible in the brief time you have on Earth, don't even like waste your time with the 6 out of 10s. Go check out the 7 out of 10s at least, because at least like those are like good. Like I can't in good conscience call this movie good, just okay. So in terms of like okay and bad movies, I'm of the opinion now that Shinkai has made more okay/bad movies than he has good movies. But I wouldn't now with
that's amazing, because remember how we started off Shinkai month? I'm the mustache twirling Shinkai hater, the worst nightmare of every Your Name fan on Earth. And I came out of it with a more positive impression of the guy than you did.
I mean, granted, at the time I'd only seen 2 of his movies, and
I also
both of them were they were
the same movies.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I guess the tale really is true. You either die a hero, you live long enough to see yourself become the villain,
or you start a villain and become a hero. Have your own Megamind redemption story, but for Shinkai movies.
As far as the 6 out of 10 animated films that I've seen in the month of April, this is the weakest of the 2. I preferred the Mario movie.
You're just gonna slide that one in there, just all nonchalantly?
Yeah, that it'll be one last big fuck you to the Shinkai fans who make it to the end of this podcast as a treat for all of their dedication to listening to all of the Shinkai month podcasts.
I feel like that's one heck of a way to end it.
Well, I still...
No. All right, listen, I haven't seen the Mario movie, but it is difficult to fathom an Illumination movie being better than a Shinkai movie. That is...
Okay, granted, Illumination has made like one good movie, and with this one, with the Mario movie, one okay movie. Those are the only two Illumination films I've seen, I think, ever. I've seen Minions, but it was when I was younger, and I think I didn't like it even then, so I'd imagine I'd hate it now. But no, like Despicable Me 1 and the Mario movie are like the only good Illumination movies. The rest of them are like garbage. So Shinkai has a better output than Illumination.
There you go. At least you clarified that much.
Yeah, I will say I'm still definitely interested in keeping up with his work, if only because he's definitely no Miyazaki. Like now this movie has like reaffirmed my opinion. Like he is not the next Miyazaki. He is definitely the first Makoto Shinkai, and he's definitely, I don't want to say necessary evil, because I don't think that's the right phrase I want to use. It's just that he is like it's inarguable. Like you can debate as much as you want, but Miyazaki is mostly retired. Yeah, he's coming back for like maybe his final movie for real this time, but then that was like a 10+ year gap, whereas in that time we got 4 Shinkai movies at least. Shinkai is the new most popular contemporary anime movie director, so he fills the power vacuum that Miyazaki left behind, not in pedigree but by default. So got no choice but to keep up with the man's work, just to be in the know in the anime sphere, you know? This is our job.
I mean, even without that, I'd be willing to watch his next movie on opening night, and maybe someday even rewatch Suzume, albeit probably not nearly as soon as Weathering with You, because God, the movie's so good. But
oh yeah, now that we've seen every theatrical Shinkai movie, we're kind of contractually obligated, or at least like blood bound at this point, to watch them all, because we've already seen them all. Why the fuck not?
Sunk cost fallacy propels us.
Yeah, I've seen every single Pixar movie, and now I have to see every Pixar movie that comes out in theaters until the end of time, because I've seen them all. Why stop now? This is probably how Marvel fans feel. This is how Marvel fans feel when a new fucking Disney Plus show comes out and they have to fucking force feed it to themselves and be like, I've come this far. I'm very proud to have broken that cycle for myself.
You know, someday I do. I was getting this idea while, you know, brainstorming Suzume video ideas, and this is yet another reason why I didn't do it. Someday, when I rewatch Weathering with You, I might also rewatch Suzume at the same time and make a comparison video to be like, here's where Suzume done messed up, here's where Weathering with You did spectacularly. Because despite being the same stories, they both, you know, differ in key ways that makes one better than the other. And there's been a lot of it in this podcast, and maybe someday I'll make a video on it. It seems like a fun time. And other than that, I hope Shinkai's next movie learns what theming is, again, because he already nailed it before. And just everything else, just do the same.
Yeah, that's the most shocking thing. Kind of like for him to go from like Your Name and Weathering with You to this, it just feels like a big, unfortunate step down. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as Weathering with You, because that'd be a little too overly ambitious to be like, okay, yeah, I'm expecting a 9 out of 10 masterpiece. I was sad to see it go below like a 7 for me. That's what's disappointing to me about it.
If it was Your Name to Suzume, I'd be like, this completely makes sense. I get it. Yeah, Suzume's better. Don't at me. But to go from Weathering with You to Suzume, gonna get a grimacing face from me.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big yikes from me. But we'll keep up with his work regardless, because we're in too deep.
No, I just want to. I'm not even in too deep. I just want to.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to too. He is an interesting voice to follow. And if you want to watch us whenever the next Shinkai movie comes out in like 3 to 4 years from now, and you'll want to hear us review it then, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast, and head on down to the comments to let us know what you thought of Suzume. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was just okay? Do you agree with our list? Go full Watch Mojo on their asses? Go ahead and sound off in the comments. Let us know what else you want us to talk about on Castaway Anime. We got the spring seasonal podcast coming out next week, so get excited for that. If you want to hear us talk about shit like Jigokuraku and Oshinoko and Skip and Loafer and Yamada-kun and all that shit. That's gonna do her for this episode of Castaway Anime. Shinkai month is now officially over and in the books, and God bless it for that. I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Squishy Tart. I'm running out of ideas. I hate this.
And you'll see us next time.
Itadashai.